Hey Reddit. Let me tell you a little story about how I went from baking banana bread with passive-aggressive notes in the crust to quietly dismantling the woman who tried to erase me from my own family. My name is Jenna. I'm 35. I used to work in HR until I was laid off last year, company-wide restructuring, which meant every woman over 30 suddenly became non-essential. My husband Matt, love of my life but not exactly built for conflict, and I agreed that I'd stay home with our daughter Ava for a while. Focus on the family, ride out the storm. Enter the storm. Her name is Marilyn. Marilyn is Matt's mother. 72 years old. Widow. Cancer survivor. Cross-stitch enthusiast. She also weaponizes a smile like it's a scalpel dipped in lavender oil. When Matt got laid off from his sales job to cue the violins, we had nowhere else to go, so we moved into his childhood home in central Illinois, just for a few months. It's been 10 months of living under a roof that smells like cedar, mothballs, and emotional blackmail. At first, Marilyn was polite. Too polite. Oh, Jenna, I didn't realize you liked using store-bought frosting, how practical. Oh, sweetie, Ava's still in diapers at 2.5? Must be a modern parenting trend. Oh, I never had time to nap during the day when Matt was little. But you do, you dear. It was all so gentle, so sweet, that Matt never noticed the rot underneath. To him, his mom was just old school. To me, she was a psychological ninja in a cardigan. She'd reorganize the pantry after I grocery shopped, hide my shampoo, switch Ava's shows from Bluey to VeggieTales and say it was healthier for her spirit. One time she accidentally bleached my favorite black jumpsuit in the laundry and handed it back folded, smiling. And the kicker? She started gossiping. To the neighbors. To the church ladies. To her friend down at the post office. Jenna's very sleepy. Sometimes I wonder if Ava's really getting the structure she needs. It's so hard when young women don't know how to keep a household. I found this out from Phyllis, the sweet widow next door who handed me a homemade pie and then asked gently if I was getting enough iron. Matt didn't get it. He kept saying, you know how she is. And I did. But what he didn't realize is I wasn't trying to change her. I was watching her. Because a few weeks ago I found something. Something she didn't mean for me to find. It started with a locked file cabinet in her sewing room. She said it was full of tax records. Private stuff. Old business. Just my affairs. But one day while she was at her monthly bunco game, yes, bunco, I went looking for Ava's immunization card, which Marilyn had helped organize and naturally misplaced. And the key was right in the desk drawer under a pile of rubber bands and expired Bed Bath & Beyond coupons. I opened the cabinet. Inside were folders. Old. Labeled in fading Sharpie. One said, Living Will, Rev 2009. Another, Last Amendment, Estate Apportionment. My heart thudded. See, Marilyn had always told us she didn't have much. That the house would go to Matt and his sister equally. That everything else was just paper. But that file? That file told a different story. It showed that her original will left the house to Matt and a significant amount. 6 figures, easily in retirement accounts. Then there was a new document. Dated 2018. Notarized. With a different lawyer. This version? Left everything to her caregiver and medical advocate, whose surprise was not Matt. It was Linda, her friend from water aerobics who shows up with sugar-free scones and a death wish in Pilates socks. At first I thought, maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was meant to be updated later. But then I flipped to the last page and saw something that turned my stomach. The notary signature wasn't a real notary. I checked. The name belonged to a massage therapist who lost her license in 2019 for forging insurance paperwork. I found her via Google in under 5 minutes. I sat there, sweating, holding the proof that Marilyn faked her own estate amendment, likely with the help of Linda, and tried to reroute a house, 3 accounts, and a chunk of life insurance away from her actual family. And I realized something. This woman hadn't just been gaslighting me. She was trying to erase us. And suddenly, all the little things hiding my clothes, whispering about Ava, rearranging the neighbors against me, weren't petty anymore. They were calculated. I didn't confront her. Because that's not my style. Instead, I started making copies. Screenshots. Photos. Notes. Dates. Backups to cloud and USB. One in a safe deposit box. Then I started being very, very kind to Marilyn. Made her tea. Rubbed her hands when they cramped. Listened to her long stories about her glory days at the DMV. Because the best way to bring down someone like her? Let her think she's winning, while I sharpen the knife made of every smug smirk and every lie she's ever told about me. Estate planning, after all, is about timing. So after discovering the forged will and the fake notary and the absurd plan to leave everything to her Pilates cult friend Linda, I had a choice. Blow up and tell Matt everything. Lawyer up in secret and quietly plan her downfall like a stay-at-home suburban Machiavelli with a diaper bag full of evidence. Guess which one I picked? I'll admit, it felt like espionage at first. I even changed the name of the folder on my Google Drive from mom_in_law_proof to tax_prep_2022. PDF. Just in case she ever got curious while borrowing my laptop to Google her bunco scores. But the real shift happened when I stopped trying to defend myself. I stopped reacting to the gossip. I stopped venting to Matt. I started documenting. Marilyn was a small-town manipulator, born and raised. The kind who can weaponize a pie. And me? I used to think kindness was enough. But kindness without boundaries? That's blood in the water. So I got clinical. Efficient. Cold but with good posture. Every lie? Logged. Every backhanded comment? Time-stamped in my notes app. Every time she accidentally turned off the baby monitor or misplaced Ava's favorite blanket. Filed under neglect, passive-aggressive. I made a spreadsheet with tabs. Gossip tracking, who she said what to. Asset catalog, photos of every heirloom and where it ended up. Forged docs, 3 versions of the will, 2 with suspicious changes. Linda sightings, times she entered the house, how long she stayed, whether she left with wine. That last one? Might have been petty. But also might prove conspiracy later. You never know. Then one Tuesday morning, while Matt was out interviewing at a logistics firm and Ava was busy stuffing goldfish into her nose, Marilyn casually mentioned over coffee. I gave the Wedgwood china set to Ken, our mailman. I figured it's safer in the hands of someone who appreciates value. I almost choked on my oatmeal. You gave what to whom? For context, that china set was from the 1950s. It had been in Matt's family for 3 generations. I'd admired it exactly once. You know what I got? A smirk and a reminder that good dishes are for women who earn them. And now it was in a padded envelope, probably sliding around the floor of a USPS truck next to grocery coupons and a vape refill? Cool. But I didn't react. I smiled. Sipped coffee. Said, so generous of you, Marilyn. Then I added a line in the spreadsheet. September 18th. China set. Gifted to postal worker. Approximate. Value, $2,000. No receipt. And then I installed a second cloud backup just to be safe. Because guess what? If this goes to court, and oh, it will, every asset she tries to disappear will look very interesting when it turns out she was not of sound mind when she signed that updated will. And yes, I'm already talking to an elder law specialist. The beauty of this plan is that Marilyn still thinks I'm defeated. She still calls me just the babysitter. Still pretends her friends accidentally left me off their party invite list. Still offers to help with parenting decisions by telling Ava that real girls don't shout. But every time she thinks she's twisting the knife, I'm writing it down. And trust me, Illinois courts love documentation. They practically salivate over timeline spreadsheets. One evening, she told Matt, right in front of me. Jenna's gotten so agreeable lately. I think the house is finally calming her down. And I smiled sweetly, passed her the butter, and thought, you have no idea, sweetheart. You're standing in the quietest battlefield you've ever set foot on. Next week is the town's harvest home tour, where all the cute little houses on our block open up for neighbors to, ooh, and out at porch mums and mason jars full of cinnamon sticks. Guess who's opening the house? Marilyn. Without telling me. Guess who's going to make sure every single person walking through hears something interesting about Linda, the mystery inheritor, and a will that just happened to get updated after a shoulder massage and a few glasses of Chardonnay? Yeah. I didn't know I was capable of weaponizing autumn until Marilyn signed us up for the Pine Hill Harvest Home Tour, and forgot to tell me. I found out from Phyllis, the neighbor with 14 lawn gnomes and a heart condition. She waved at me while watering her mums and said, "Can't wait to see your living room this weekend, hon." My what now? So I confronted Marilyn in the most Midwestern way possible. I stood in the kitchen holding a dish towel and said, "You signed up the house for the tour?" She smiled over her teacup like a smug tax auditor. "It's good for the neighborhood. We'll keep Ava upstairs. Just keep the clutter down." Clutter equals anything I touched. Now, most people would get angry, throw a scene, call her out. But I had a better idea. She wanted to show off a curated fantasy of domestic perfection? I'd let her. But I'd write the captions. So for the 2 days leading up to the tour, I helped stage the house, folded throws, arranged fall-scented candles, cleaned the baseboards like I was polishing a courtroom exhibit, and then I made little note cards, tasteful ones. One for the china cabinet, empty, since the Wedgwood now belongs to Ken the mailman. Formerly held the family's heirloom china, gifted to a non-family member in 2023. Value $2,000. One on the hallway wall, under a faded family photo. Pictured. Marilyn's late husband and 2 children. Will pending. Original 2009 version leaves home to both. See revised 2018 file for interesting updates. One on a side table in the living room, where Linda's Pilates fundraiser magnet was still stuck to the lamp base. Linda's Pilates for posture fun fact. Also the future sole inheritor of this entire estate. According to a mysterious legal update. I made sure they looked just artsy enough to seem intentional. People assumed it was part of the exhibit. Marilyn, of course, was too busy performing hospitality cosplay in a crocheted vest to notice. But the neighbors? Oh, they noticed. Phyllis read every card. Twice. Tom from down the street whispered, "Is that real?" to me near the cider table. I just smiled, shrugged, said, "Oh, you know Marilyn, she loves a surprise." At one point, Marilyn asked why people were giving her strange looks. I said, "Well, maybe they're admiring how much you've done for Linda." She squinted. "Did you tell them something?" "No, of course not," I said. "I've been busy slicing apples." And I had. Into perfect little spirals. Just like the spiral she was walking herself into. After the tour, I overheard 2 of the neighborhood moms whispering at the mailbox. "Did you know Linda's getting the house? I thought Matt was her only son? Jenna must be furious. Poor thing." To which I responded in full passive-aggressive mode. "Oh no, I'm at peace with it. I'm just making sure all the paperwork is very visible." They blinked. Then one of them patted my arm. The shift had begun. Matt still had no clue. I know how? But look, he's been in his own storm. Trying to find a job in logistics in a Midwestern town with 4 companies and 1 highway. I gave him space. For now. But I also left the file cabinet key accidentally in the kitchen junk drawer. And a labeled flash drive fell very gently into his sock drawer. All I need is the right spark. And Marilyn? She's lighting matches in a hayfield. Because after the harvest tour humiliation, she started pushing harder. Made Ava cry by telling her Santa doesn't visit messy children. Told Matt I seemed emotionally unstable. Called my lemon bars a little flat. It's almost like she can feel something shifting. And she's scrambling. But me? I'm calm. Because every week she tightens the noose around herself. And when the day comes that she tries to file anything legally, change a document, sell an asset, exclude Matt from his share, well, the cards won't just be on the table. They'll be filed, notarized, time-stamped, and distributed to the entire street. We need to talk about the teacups. Marilyn collects them. Porcelain, bone china, gold-trimmed. Every time she hears the word antique, she manifests a new cup like she's doing dark magic on eBay. Her favorite? A pink Royal Albert she swore belonged to Queen Victoria's footman's sister, or something equally unverifiable. Anyway, last week 2 of them went missing. By missing, I mean they weren't in the china cabinet, which, as we've established, is now just a ghost town of ceramic betrayal since she started handing things off to the postman and Pilates friends like party favors. And so, naturally, she blamed me. Not Matt. Not her cleaning lady. Not gravity or time or dust or God. Me. She cornered me at the kitchen sink. I was washing Ava's sippy cup. "Jenna," she said, voice soft like arsenic and chamomile, "I don't want to make a fuss, but 2 of my teacups are gone. And I know how you've been rearranging things lately." My hands were in the water. My back was to her. And I smiled into the faucet like a serial killer doing dishes. "That's funny," I said. "Because I just cataloged the cabinet last week. You know, for your estate records." She blinked. "You what?" I turned around. Towel in hand. Dead calm. Photos. Labels. Approximate value. Ownership notes. I figured since there's some confusion about what's in the house and where it's going, a record might help. That shut her up. She muttered something about needing air and shuffled off to the garden like she was fleeing a murder she hadn't planned to commit that day. But here's what really matters. I wasn't bluffing. Because after the China incident and the harvester whispers, I realized something important. Marilyn was starting to panic. And panicked people make sloppy mistakes. So I documented everything. I went full insurance adjuster. Every drawer. Every shelf. Each item photographed with a timestamp and brief description. I backed it all up. Hard drive. Cloud. Printed copies. One set in the freezer behind the peas just in case. Then I did something bold. I contacted Marilyn's lawyer. Well, technically the family's lawyer. He's known Matt since he was in diapers and drafted the original will back in 2009. I scheduled a clarification meeting and told Matt I was dropping off some documents. Half-truth. My favorite kind. I showed up in jeans, no makeup, ponytail, full innocent daughter-in-law realness. And I handed him an envelope labeled Estate Concerns, Updated Documentation prepared by Jenna redacted. Inside? Side-by-side comparison of the 2009 will and the 2018 update. List of inconsistencies in notarization. Inventory of house assets including all items already removed. Copy of Linda's Pilates fundraiser flyer with a timestamp matching a signature date. He read through the first few pages. Then he said, "Jenna, how long have you been preparing this?" I smiled. Since she called me just the babysitter. He didn't say anything for a while. Then, "You know if this ends up in court, this will matter." I nodded. That's the idea. That night, Marilyn found the drawer where I'd stored Ava's finger paintings and relocated them to a more appropriate space, aka the trash. She didn't know I saw. She didn't know I took a photo. She didn't know I emailed that photo to the same lawyer with the subject line. Continued behavioral pattern, may indicate mental decline or malice. Because while she was playing checkers with sugar cookies and passive aggression, I was playing estate litigation chess. And here's the twist. The lawyer called Matt. He asked if Matt had seen the new will. Matt said no. Then he asked if Matt was aware that his mother's stated caregiver was someone not related to the family. And then I watched Matt's face change. Something clicked. Like a rubber band snapping against your wrist. She said it was just a backup, he told me afterward. That it didn't mean anything. I handed him the folder. He opened it. Read the cover page. Sat down. Jesus, Jenna. I sat beside him. She's been planning this for years. He looked at me. What do we do? And I said, we wait. We let her take one more step. And then we pull the whole house down with one motion. Because you don't confront a woman like Marilyn when she's halfway through the scam. You wait until the last dotted line. Until she thinks she's won. And then? You show her the truth. Signed, sealed, and pre-laminated. It started like any other Sunday. Church in the morning, Marilyn wore a brooch shaped like a dove, ironically, casseroles at noon, and passive aggression for dessert. Matt and I were being civil, which is to say, I smiled while he tried to pretend this was still normal. But it wasn't normal. Because Marilyn was getting bolder. And I knew why. 2 nights earlier, I overheard her whispering on the phone to Linda in the sewing room. Yes, it'll be done soon. No, they'll never know. Jenna doesn't understand these things. She doesn't even work. Cute. She was talking about filing the 2018 will. The forged one. The one with the fake notary, the suspicious timeline, and the clause that left the entire house, the IRA, and the furniture collection to her caregiver, Linda. Matt had finally seen the documents. He was still in denial, hoping it was a misunderstanding. I let him stay there for now. Because we were close. So close. And then it happened. Monday morning I got a call from the law office. Mrs. Redacted, I wanted to inform you that Marilyn has requested an official meeting to initiate execution of her amended will. She's listed your husband as a witness. I said, oh, how interesting. Then I thanked him. Then I printed everything. Every version. Every signature. The original. The forged copy. A page-by-page analysis with side comments labeled. Discrepancy A. Inconsistent witness timeline. Possible elder exploitation. Then I booked a hair appointment. Because if you're going to deliver a professional humiliation in a conference room, you damn well better look flawless. Wednesday, 11 a.m. The lawyer's office. Marilyn waltzed in wearing pearls and superiority. Linda tagged along, wearing workout gear like she was ready to stretch her way through a financial windfall. Matt and I sat across from them at the table, folder in my lap. The lawyer cleared his throat. Before we begin, I'd like to confirm we're proceeding with the updated 2018 version of the will. Marilyn nodded. It's all in order. I trust you'll notarize as needed. I watched her pull out the folder. A fresh printout. Clean pages. Then I placed my folder on the table. Actually, before we sign anything, I think it's important we take a look at the original documents, filed in 2009. Along with notarized statements and some recent photos that suggest some irregularities. Marilyn froze. Linda blinked. The lawyer, God bless him, adjusted his glasses like he was about to watch an episode of Law and Order, Inheritance Unit. I opened the folder. Took out the side-by-side page comparison. Placed a notarized letter from a real notary confirming that the signature on the 2018 version did not match any legally valid registry. Then I pulled out the statement from the former massage therapist who was allegedly the notary in 2018. The one who now runs a crystal ketamine shop in Missouri and freely admitted she signed a few things for friends back then. I watched the color drain from Marilyn's face. She tried to speak. Jenna, I think. I raised a hand. I'm not finished. I slid across the photo inventory. Proof that Marilyn had begun quietly gifting assets outside of legal channels. Proof that she had failed to disclose said gifts in any documented estate planning. Proof that she had removed Matt and Ava as primary beneficiaries under false pretense. And finally, the audio recording. A snippet of that sewing room phone call captured via baby monitor. She doesn't even work. The room was silent except for the sound of Linda's water bottle squeaking under her grip. The lawyer cleared his throat. Marilyn. I think we're going to need to press pause on today's filing. She was pale, but still tried to recover. This is just a misunderstanding. I was confused. It was never meant to be permanent. Matt spoke up then. Quiet. Calm. But final. You lied to us. About the will. About everything. Marilyn turned to him. Matt didn't flinch. She turned to me. I met her gaze level. You called me the babysitter. You tried to steal my daughter's inheritance. You tried to erase us. She opened her mouth. I stood up, folder in hand. Now you can explain it to the state probate office. That night, Marilyn didn't come home. She went to stay with Linda, which is rich considering she'd been planning to give her the house. Matt didn't ask where. He just stared at his phone for a long time. He finally said, You did all that quietly. I nodded. You don't have to scream when the evidence is that loud. Next step? Formal challenge to the 2018 will. Perjury charge against Linda's notary claim. And a request for full estate mediation with me named as Matt's advisor. But that's just paperwork now. Because I already did the real work. I built the case. I rewrote the narrative. I made her think she was in control right up until the table turned under her feet. Let me tell you what poetic justice looks like. It's not always courtroom drama and throne gavels. Sometimes it's quiet, calm, filed in triplicate. Sometimes it looks like a certified letter arriving at the exact moment your former mother-in-law is arranging her ceramic pumpkin collection in someone else's guest room. After the bombshell meeting at the lawyer's office, Marilyn went into full retreat. She called Matt twice, once to explain and once to say she was deeply hurt by our betrayal. Then silence. No apology. No acknowledgement. No ownership. Just distance. Which suited me fine. Because now it was my turn to finish the job she started with precision, patience, and absolutely no warning. A month later, the estate hearing was held. Matt and I arrived with folders. She arrived with Linda and an exhausted paralegal who looked like he regretted every life choice that brought him into probate court that day. The judge didn't even let them finish opening statements before asking, Are you prepared to explain the discrepancy between this 2018 document and the notary records we subpoenaed? Marilyn blinked. Linda tried to speak. Their lawyer asked for additional time to clarify intent. The judge raised a brow. You'll need a lot more than intent. It took 15 minutes. 15 minutes to declare the 2018 amendment invalid. 15 minutes to restore the original 2009 will. 15 minutes to make Marilyn realize she'd been outmaneuvered by the babysitter. The house? Matt's legally and fully. The savings? Split evenly between him and his sister as originally written. The china? We left it with the mailman. Felt symbolic. Marilyn left without a word. No eye contact. No goodbye. Just the sound of her orthopedic heels on a courthouse floor. Linda hissed something under her breath as they passed us. I smiled. Have a blessed day. A few weeks later, we officially transferred the deed. Matt, finally clear-eyed, offered to sell the house. Start fresh. But I said no. I wanted to live in this house. The house where she tried to erase me. The house where she twisted doorknobs and opinions and holiday dinners. The house where I cried in closets and baked passive-aggressive muffins and found my spine hiding somewhere between the guest towels and the Google Drive folder marked Maryland fraud. I painted the walls. I moved the furniture. I turned the sewing room into an office with a lock I control. Ava's drawings are taped all over the fridge. The pantry stays exactly how I arrange it. And every Sunday I sit on the porch with a cup of tea from a set I picked, smile at the neighbors, and wave like a queen. Phyllis brought over a lemon pie last week. She said, "It's nice to see things quiet again." I said, "It's not quiet. It's just peaceful when people stop lying." She smiled. "You did good, Jenna." "Yeah, I did." Marilyn tried to write me out. I wrote myself back in. With footnotes. And timestamps. And not one raised voice. Because revenge doesn't always come with fire and fury. Sometimes it comes in legal clarity and controlled smiles and a perfectly timed printer cartridge refill. Now, she's just a story I tell in my home. Over my tea. With Ava giggling nearby and Matt finally seeing the woman he married. And me? I finally believe in my own voice. Not because I shouted. But because I documented. And now it's all mine. The house. The peace. The ending. Jenna.